Today's video is going to show you how to set up a custom profile for your terminal or your console and to set some different colors and a window name to differentiate it from other consoles or so on that you might be firing up. And then I'll also show you how to set a global shortcut key to fire up that specific profile that you've created along with a custom command it can execute. And the reason for this really is that I've been playing around a bit with Distrobox recently, and what Distrobox does is it creates sort of a subsystem under Linux, almost like Windows has a Linux subsystem. Linux can also have Linux subsystems. So I'm running Manjaro at the moment. I could fire up Ubuntu from within a separate terminal, and I can just show you here sort of how it works by default. Really is if you are opening up a terminal like this and you want to start up the Ubuntu terminal to run Ubuntu now under Manjaro or whatever else you've got, you're going to run something like this. But look now at that prompt over here on the left hand side and you'll see what's happening is it's not really changing. So it's started up Ubuntu, but you're not actually going to see it at the moment. If I was to type in something like, say, neofetch, you can see there it actually is running Ubuntu, but the problem is there's no indication. So what I want to do here really is fire up a terminal, change the colors and the description at the top here where it's got Dani Ubuntu. I normally would have Dani Desktop, I think it is, and it'll be an easier way for me to differentiate which one I'm actually in. And the way I've set the shortcut keys up is I'm using Control-Alt-T to fire up my normal terminal, and I've got Control-Alt-U which fires up the other one. Clear the screen quickly. So to show you the two sort of really in action then, let's just close this one again. And I'll show you exactly what I mean now and how this thing will actually look. If I do Control-Alt-T to fire up my standard sort of terminal, that's the standard shortcut key, you'll see everything's exactly as I said just now for that one. And if I now do Control-Alt-U, I've set that up as Control-Alt-U easily to remember because U is for Ubuntu. You'll see, there we go, it fires it up. And this is the effect. A totally different color scheme for a start. I know the prompt is the same, and that's what I had trouble with. I couldn't get Starship prompt to sort of change properly for me to show the difference of the two operating systems. But you'll see here at the top, if you look up here, there it's actually showing the window title now, Dani at Ubuntu. And if we go look at the other one, you'll see it's got Dani at Desktop. So that sort of tells me very quickly that's my standard CLI that I'm normally working in. And this one is my Ubuntu one, and the color scheme is also changed. So, you know, it sort of shows that it's quite different. And you can also just again check those. There it says it's running Ubuntu. And if I cross back to the other one, we can run also neofetch. And you'll see that is running my standard Manjaro. So I think let's just have a look then at, you know, how I sort of got that to work. And I think you can apply this for various other things as well. Essentially, there were sort of two steps that I did. First of all, I created a new profile in Konsole itself, and I named that profile. And I also then just set the colors, and I set the parameters for the window name, just so that it would show, you know, exactly which one at the top I'm actually in. The other part of the steps that I did was I set global shortcut keys on my OS itself, and I added a custom command for it to execute with the associated shortcut, that Control-Alt-U that I did. So that command will actually run the Distrobox and call that profile by name that we've created. And I looked all over the place. I just couldn't find sort of easier ways to do this. So this is sort of how I did it. So let's just look at the first step then with creating the new profile. So the first step was to create a new profile in Konsole. So let's just start up Konsole. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new profile in it. Just go to its settings and configure Konsole. And under profiles, you'll see I've got my default one. I've just named it as Manjaro, but I created another one called Ubuntu. And essentially, you're just going to do that by clicking there on New, You're going to give it a name there, say Ubuntu. You can set, an icon for it. Leave that command as standard. Everything else really stays standard here. The only other things we're actually going to do is, so it's just renaming it over here. Then under tabs, I used these parameters, the %W and the %N. And the %W essentially just sets the window name to the name set by the shell. I changed the color there, but that's not really necessary. And then the other important thing was just the appearance of the actual text, on the background. So I think my standard was Breeze or something, but you could choose, various other colors. You could make it green if you wanted to as well. I just took red there. And once you've got that done, all you're going to do really now is click on the OK there to save it. And that's really how it's going to appear. You can see you've got your profile there. So that was the first important part done. You've now created a new profile and you've given it a name, and that's the name you're going to call it by. So we can go out of that now. The second part was the creation now of the global shortcut key that's going to call a command which will call and open that specific console with that named profile and execute a command in it to get Distrobox started. So for KDE Plasma, I just went to my settings, I went to shortcuts, and you'll see what I've added over here is a custom command. So you're going to click on add command down here, and it's going to bring up this little box where you paste in the command and you set the shortcut key. Let's just have a look at the syntax that I used there. So console is the command to actually execute the console. In addition though, -- profile with this name Ubuntu is going to open a console, but using that profile that we just created now called Ubuntu, in my case Ubuntu, whatever yours is going to be called. And the other important part is the second half over here. The -E is a parameter for console, which says to it, and execute a command in place of your default command. So normally it'll execute bin bash and it starts up, your sort of standard bash terminal. What it now is going to replace it with is, and the important thing is here, just to also include these inverted commas here. Otherwise, it's not going to read properly. It's going to give you an error and think you're trying to create something with a name. So it's -E, and what it'll execute is Distrobox -enter, which is the command. And which Distrobox? Well, I've got one that's named Ubuntu. In your case, it might be something else. But remember now, you could also be, if you didn't want to fire up your profile with running Distrobox, you could be using it for anything else. It could be an ls command. It could be, whatever else you wanted to do. So I'm just saying I used it for Distrobox for this purpose, but, it could actually be used for anything else really. And then that's really sort of it. Once you've saved that, yours over here is not necessarily going to have this shortcut key already set. You're going to probably just see there, add a custom shortcut. So you would click in it and then just press whatever your shortcut key is. Obviously, I've already got the shortcut set, so it's not going to set it now a second time. And, that is really it. If you close that now, it's going to be Control-T for my standard prompt. If I then hit Control-Alt-U, for the other command that I've set, it'll start up the other console. And yeah, as I said, there they are running. So yeah, I hope that might be of some interest. I know it's a little bit sort of niche. And in this case, I'm just using it, as I said, for Distrobox. But if there's a way that you're looking for to fire up a second or a third console by name and execute a custom command, then, that is actually how to do it. It is just something I couldn't find a solution for some or other reason. So I've put it together for myself for reference purpose, and also if anybody else is searching for something like this, hopefully it's going to help you as well. So thanks for watching anyway, and stay safe out there, and I'll see you in my next video.